House North Lawn, John Roberts. Good afternoon to you, John. We saw the president for the first time today in days, paying his respects, Arlington National Cemetery. What do you pick it up from inside the West Wing on what he is doing now in terms of running the show on this?
Bill, good afternoon to you. Yeah, the first time that we've seen the president in public since last Thursday when he came out to talk in the briefing room. Didn't make any public remarks, though. Everything that we've heard since Thursday has been on Twitter. But we do know that the president is working the phones, talking to just about everybody he can, driving this process forward, meeting with his campaign advisors as well. Certainly the campaign has been filing a lot of lawsuits. They've been collecting affidavits and sworn statements from witnesses that they say is evidence that there were voting irregularities that happened last Tuesday and then the vote counting after that. But what they really need to do, Bill, is they need to either get their hands on some of these ballots so that they can examine them themselves and present that in a court of law, or they need to have a body like the Supreme Court say, you know what, in Pennsylvania, the law stated that all ballots that come in after 8 o'clock on election night are invalid. Therefore, they would need to throw out the entire tranche of ballots if they really hope to make a difference. According to one campaign source that I talked to earlier today, what they really need to do is they need to catch a break in court. It's unclear how long all of this goes on, Bill. If they do catch that break in court, it means that it could go on for a long time. If they don't catch that break in court, it may be over sooner rather than later. But one thing is that if they do manage to prolong this process, we start to get into December. There comes a time when these electors have to be seated to vote on who will become president of the United States. And I'm told that the anger out there in these red states is so deep and so palpable that GOP legislators may have a difficult time seating Biden electors when it comes down to putting in place that process for the vote on December the 14th.
That would be something. John, come back to Georgia in a moment here. Mike Pence was going to take a day or two off. That changed. How come?
Yeah, well, it was never officially on the schedule, so it never really officially was canceled. But there were plans in place for the vice president to make his annual pilgrimage this week down to Sanibel Island. The schedule sort of had him roughly leaving yesterday, coming back on Saturday. It looks like that is no longer going to happen. The weather down there in Sanibel is pretty terrible, too, with Eta hitting Florida. But he is going to be giving a speech here in Washington, D.C. on Friday. And then to bring it back around to Georgia, he will be going down to Georgia on the 20th to campaign hard for Senators David Perdue and Kelly Loeffler.
Okay, tell us about the focus for Georgia with the recount. What are they looking for? What is their anticipation or expectation?
Yeah, the Trump campaign held a conference call on that earlier this afternoon. This is going to be an intense process because Georgia, by law, has to certify its vote by November the 20th, and this will be the first time in Georgia history that they have ever had a hand recount of all of the ballots. Currently, there's a margin of a little more than 14,000 in Joe Biden's favor. The Trump campaign hoping to turn that around. Congressman Doug Collins will be the Trump campaign's point person on that. Here's what he said in that conference call a short time ago.
This is about really the first step. This is making sure that every legal vote is counted and every illegal vote not counted. It allows us to see the integrity of the process.
So again, it's going to be an intense process, but the Trump campaign is urging patience, saying this is not an apple that you eat all in one bite. You take a number of different bites at it, and that's what's going on right now. But at some point, people keep on assuring us that on January the 20th, a president will be inaugurated. We're just not sure at this point whether it will be a new president or the current president. Bill?
That's some really interesting reporting. Thank you, John, for that. I mentioned Republicans currently hold a 50-48 lead.